Hi, welcome into this Torro Business Loans Review. My name is Michael. I'm a business funding expert and a business owner like yourself. And in this video, I will be going in depth around Torro, helping you understand better about their platform, how they work, how to get started, the requirements, the types of different capital that they provide, and even the alternatives to see what else is out there. What is actually in your best interest at heart? And getting up to 10K in 10 minutes, more or less, without credit requirements, and what that is and then other details. So please stick with me until the very end so you get all of those juicy details. What you're seeing is the homepage of Torro. In a second, I will be scrolling through to show you a few things. And then I also have other tabs that are open. And before I get into any of that, I just want you to know I'm very transparent with you and those that I have helped out in the past, whether they have received funding or not. And as an expert, business loan broker expert, business funding expert, pre-underwriter slash underwriter, I'm very analytical, cerebral. I'm the introverted type. I review a lot of documentation every single day from different people, different clients, businesses, and I've helped out a lot of people navigate and get the right lender. And I can connect you with the best lenders out there that I've been doing for a very long time. I could just be a full-time 100% underwriter and or a lender, but a lot of flexibility on this side. And I have other businesses that I run, I'll get into in a second. But I look at bank statements, tax returns, P&L balance sheets, debt schedules. I help people improve their cash flow, their EBITDA, profitability, be a better business owner at the end of the day, generate enough ROI, net operating income, gross profit margins, net, and other sections as well. And I'm very loyal. I'm a Libra, if that says anything. I'm well balanced, emotionally controlled at this stage in my life, in my career, in my personal life. And again, I'm the introverted cerebral type and I don't speak a lot. And there's a lot of content out there on the web you have to be cautious of. And at the end of the day, you want somebody you can trust and rely on. As I do, I don't just take my file if I need to get my business's funded to anybody and everybody, and just applying out there anywhere and everywhere is not your best approach. Too much recent activity, even if it just results in a soft call. A lot of the stuff is communicated by various lenders and providers out there, and you're just running up everything. You don't want to do that. You're a higher risk, then that can come with higher rates and lesser terms, lesser funding, and more. So I have your best interest at heart. I'll navigate you and I'll guide you. So please stick with me through this process. So with Torro, they are a direct funder. You could also say an online marketplace, more or less, that can connect you to the right private investors, lenders, and a pool of money that's put into this and to help you with it. Here you see from 5,000 to 725,000, zero hassle business funding for your dream. And I'll go into some of the requirements in a second as I flip over screens later. Fast capital for your growing business. Already in business, get up to 575,000 for a business expansion, working capital, emergency cash, or anything your thriving business needs. And being an expert in the space, just so you know, I've helped a lot of clients get funded. And what matters to me a lot is your health and your relationships. Your wealth is just one factor that just streamlines things, and whether it's within your business or in other means, personal finances, business finances, a combination of them. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure you go to bed at night sleeping consciously and subconsciously well. I don't want to ever put you in a position where I ever pressure you. I'm not like that. That's not my personality. And I'll get into some of my background here in a second of why people sit with me. At the end of the day, it's not always the business that you need to set your eyes on, but actually the character and the person behind it, like the Walmart, the Amazon, the why behind it, but also the why behind the person is what needs to sit with you. And a lot of people sit with me because of that loyalty factor, and I don't spew in their mouth. And I'm not traditionally, didn't even get started in this field. And I wanted to get into it because I have this mission, this vision, and my values are all aligned. And I want to help you navigate through what I went through and not go through some of the mistakes that I did and getting the right funding sources. So start a new business or buy one. You have the next great idea or the perfect opportunity. Torro can provide up to 125,000 in startup capital, no hassle, fast funding. Convenient online funding will make your life easy, fast, secure, reliable funding you can trust. And you can see that a little bit there. And as I flip over here to this screen, small business loans by Torro. Here's why partnering with Torro for small business loans is a smart choice for your business. Getting funding up to 750,000 when you combine multiple services or so and see your vision become a reality. Dedicated support staff to ensure your total satisfaction and a little bit more there. We're just going to go through that quickly. And if you scroll down here, you can see that A plus rating on the Better Business Bureau. We'll go over that soon in a few of those things. And there's a little bit more details. So it's not like there's a fine limit on how you can use your funds, using it for equipment purchases, payroll, hiring more people, growing and expanding, doubling, tripling, quadrupling your revenue, and a few things. Next day funding, today's business moves at the speed of light. You want it straight, need it now. We agree. Get funding within 24 to 48 hours of approval. We provide you with exclusive programs, which means you can rely on Torro to deliver results. That's what they mean by they provide you with that. Regardless if you've been in business for years or you're just starting out, when other lenders say no or don't provide what you deserve, they have a solution that you can trust. The BVR program, working capital for companies in business for more than 6 months, and I'll get into some of the revenue requirements, documentation that needs to be supplied, a bit of the application process. As you see, create an account and submit application to Torro, and then that would connect you to the pool of multiple investors for your own capital goals and needs and for your industry and a few things like that. 50K all the way down to 20K in multiple amounts, more or less, from a pool of. B, the SLOC program, new business purchase or recently started companies, create your account and submit an application on Torro. And that's similar. And then down here, 145K, they approve your application for highest amount possible. And then the funds are there to get them dispersed. See a little bit more here. Streamlined process saves you time and keeps you in control of every step of the way. From step 1 down to step 6, create an account on Torro, draw your funds, and explain your goals. Tell us about your business, receive a pre-qualification, lock in your approval. And you can see a little bit there just by looking through it. We'll go through all those details. Here's what you need to qualify for Torro funding. With the BVR program first, minimum requirement, 6 months or more in business, gross income above $10,000 per month. Now you're thinking, hey, I'm above 6 months, or if I have 4+, what if you have 3+ months with less revenue? Maybe you don't meet the credit requirements that I'll get into soon. Stick with me. I'll go into that in a second in a different tab. And you also see proof of business identity, 2 million in maximum funding. The SLOC program minimum requirements, credit score above 600, less than 5 credit inquiries in the past 90 days. New or existing businesses allowed, 150,000 in maximum funding. Anything with startup related, what you should know though, and if you just see a lot of things where people are displaying low credit and that, yeah, that may be an entry point, but is it maximize and optimize personal credit, let alone on the business side? And if you need help also on your business credit and establishing that, whether it is with Net 30 accounts or others to build primary trade lines underneath your business, have enough age history there, as well as credit lines, I can also help with that. And there are other alternatives out there that I also recommend, even recommend as a number one in many cases. So I'll be getting into that in a little bit too, but not all the details. I'll try to leave more information down below. And there will be a questionnaire form for you if this is your first time watching or you've been around for a little bit. Down below is a questionnaire I may show you at the end of this video that you can fill out some simple funding details. I know how to pre-underwrite, pre-screen, underwrite file as well. So without looking at documents based on credit, cash flow, collateral, equity, liquidity, and other options out there, I've been doing this for a long time. I have the processes, I have the framework to do this, the systems, processes. When the automation makes sense, it makes sense, but not in all cases. So I have everything orderly and structured. I'm very punctual and disciplined about my energy and time and how I go about things. So I do not waste any of that. And if you've worked with me, you will know that. Every word, I don't talk a lot. You see me here going through video content, but for this, but really, I'm a listener more than anything. And I know how to ask the right questions as an entrepreneur business owner. So I'll navigate you, help you understand how to use your funds more effectively than just people out there showing you a video, maybe another review on this or other programs. And well, can you at least help me better understand if I use my funds like that? Is it best to do that? Can I get my ROI from this? Well, what are you currently doing? What's your current pattern? Do you have a pattern? Are you moving into a new field? Is it catering? Or is it something else? What is your projected revenue? What is your projected cash flow? X average amount of order value for X amount of customers? Or here you're wasting a lot of money in this business. Maybe you're in the bar business or you're doing this in the retail business and you need to look at your cost of goods sold and you need to look at how much of your beverage pour is going into that and how much foam is going out. And you're wasting 20%, 30% of that. There are different businesses that I work with a lot. Healthcare, trucking, everything I've worked with. I even do real estate investing. I got fix and flips going on now that have happened in the past, more of them right now. Commercial property, condos, apartment complexes, you name it. I've funded a lot of people, and again, people sit with me because of my personality and it's my introverted way, and I'm very loyal. I give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, though. And I'm a very nice person. My younger brother, my family will tell you that. So here we have, it says Torro review plus alternative up to 10K in 10 minutes, more or less, without credit requirements and more, which I'll get into. Just give me some time as we cover up the Torro here. Funding. So working capital requirements, 6 months time in business, 100,000, 10,000, excuse me, plus monthly revenue, 120,000 plus an annual revenue. That's not anything really hard math. And just so you know this, I studied, I went to school, I studied, and I studied a bit of sociology, did a bit of Division One soccer, and then I transferred or migrated into chemical engineering courses, and I went down that route because I'm mathematically and system oriented. Chemistry is my favorite class. I did very well in that. I was actually very helpful to many, and I'm very grateful and thankful for that. And statistics, other courses, uh, economics. I've done a variety of things. And then I had to make a big decision. I wanted to start a business, so I went into the business side, and I had already satisfied more or less the requirements there, and I went even deeper. And that's because I wanted to start a business, and it happened eventually. I worked in construction, manufacturing. I did warehousing. I was a ramp agent at some point. I was in a financial logistics position where the company went down under. I had to go back on employment benefits and food stamp cards out of my control. 50 plus people relieved, even higher revenue uh, generating employees. And I was being underpaid, undervalued is how I would see it. And at that time, yes, I could have moved into something else. But at that time, I started preparing for building a business, a digital marketing agency, lead generation business, one in the health affiliate marketing, other verticals, other ventures. And then now this has been my primary focus for many years as a business funding expert. So not everything is linear. I've learned a lot in those other fields, being in the field, construction, manufacturing, not just given the cubicle space, but then working later on harder up here with numbers, budgeting, and doing things, moving media, and so it's just about the mindset and personal development. That's what I've learned. I'm not a guru, but it does a lot of good when you run a business is to work on your own personal development and your mind strengthening it. And right here too is what I've always had. Not the physique. I would never had the physique. It's just I've always had this and I've always had that. And having to quote unquote outsmart or be a couple steps and chapters ahead of most people, where they would rely on their athletic abilities or in other ways, I would have to go even harder and try harder, study even harder in certain subjects. So that's prepared me for a lot. So working capital requirements, as I mentioned, 10,000 plus a monthly revenue, 120,000 plus an annual revenue, 6 months time in business. Use the funds for most business purposes. 600 plus FICO credit is preferred, but could go under like 400 plus FICO soft credit pull. Once you accept an offer, there may be a hard pull. A lot of the times, these are not traditional business loans, and they're more of an advance based on your future receivables. If you come across that, you would know that. And so people come to me all the time and go, well, I don't want these, I don't want that. And is there going to be a hard pull? You could see a soft pull throughout the whole process. There may be a hard pull at a point that needs to be looked at even deeper. But with these, a lot of the times you see daily, weekly repayments is a lot of the times more or less how they're set up. And if you've been through that, you'll know that I've been through it myself with other programs out there. And there's a time and a place to use it to double, triple, and quadrupling your ROI, your gross profit margins, your net. What will you net? What will that look like over the course of 3, 6, 9, 12 plus months? How are the uses of funds for? How effective is that? Could it have an effect to your profitability? And so how much? What's the percentage look like? How much of this is already going towards your cost of goods sold? Do you need to readjust that? Restructure contracts? You need to drop your percentage from 15 to 10% in a specific category with materials and supplies, your vendors. And you have to look at a lot of different things. And sometimes readjusting your gross revenue and your sales to optimize for profitability is most important, and optimize not only for profitability but for cash flow, having better average daily bank balances, starting and ending monthly balances, looking at all the stuff that I look at when I go through bank statements and other documents as required for different services. So working capital details up to 575,000 borrowed, more or less, up to 150, up to 120,000. It just depends on your requirements out there, and don't expect just because you do a minimum of 10,000 in monthly revenue that you're going to be expecting to get 200,000, 100,000, 50,000. A lot of the times with a lot of these programs, you may see 25 to 75% approvals, 50 to 75 depending on this industry and your time you've received funding, 40 to 60%. Other times it is 75 to 200%, 75 to 110% your next time around. So it just depends on what you have with revenue, everything that you have had with experience. The leverage relationship is most important. You want to leverage the right ones. If this isn't for you, which it isn't for a lot of people, I'll show you an alternative that I recommend most as well, that a lot of people have capitalized on. Terms, 3 to 24 months. Rates, max APR of 36%, but quote unquote max is adjustable more or less, not always the case. With the higher risk file, of course, higher factor rates and higher things to contribute into the file, lower credit. And don't expect, a lot of people come to me and recently have, like, I got about $110 a week, a daily repayment with 4 months, and I can't sustain that. And the question becomes, why can't you? Well, because how are you using the money? Okay, ROI here. Yeah, exactly. That does not make sense. For truck repairs, you're going to be in the hole an additional 1,500. You can't recover it fast enough. The revenue is not going to be up there. It's not going to climb up. There's a reason you are where you are now. And so it's not sustainable, and it's how you're depositing. Well, what's the alternative? Is it credit backed? Is it another type of solution where if it's not here, it's not over there, it's not there, you're going to continue to apply anywhere and everywhere, and that is not the right approach. You got to fix the diagnosis. The diagnosis is the revenue. Can we look at things that are seeping through the holes that we can try to plug in? Is it a more of a long-term, short-term fix, but it's going to help you increase your revenue so then you get better approvals? Is it better with your credit, to optimize your credit, to bring down your utilization, to bring up your credit score, to look at the other inquiries? You have medical bills, you have other things that are not aligning correctly, auto loans, secured mortgages, all this other stuff that goes on, or and so forth. Funding times equals could be within 24 hours or so. Startup capital requirements. The E, sometimes I'd leave that out. 600, but 700 plus is preferred. A lot of the times you're seeing from FICO, Experian a lot, and a lot of other providers out there would want you to have 680 or 700 plus, and then on all three consumer credit bureaus. If you have anything less than that, it's less than optimized, less than good credit. At least at a 670 plus, it's not considered good credit. And with that said, you may get one credit card and you're like, okay, well, I could have done this in another way. And you're looking at it and you go, oh, I could have done it on my own. So think about that. In the startup capital, there could be a combination of like business credit cards. That's normally what it is. Maybe it's a personal term / installment loan, personal line of credit, personal credit card, 0% interest or not. And you look at that and go, okay, you need guidance. If you do it all on your own, are you pulling from the right credit bureau or bureaus if you're doing business in personal credit cards? And is it maximized credit? Are you getting the most that you can get? Are you doing it on your own, but you're unsure about, for convenience, energy, and time? Would you rather have somebody else do it? Once you accept an offer, there may be a hard pull. And with credit card stacking, just so you know this, I help out a lot of people. So if you're interested with that, I'm going to leave a free credit line video series down below, up to 250,000, up to 150,000. I'm going to show you a free video series. But in the questionnaire form, you can fill that out, and I'll even put that in there. I'll show you that, and then I'll show you the other options, and I'll navigate you on where to look for these things and more. So you have it all in one place to reuse. So many people are grateful and thankful when they see this. It's like in a large email / PDF format based on your personalization and your customization for your file. So you can reuse that over and over. You'll have all the juicy details that people are not even sharing with you publicly out there. Things that the lenders don't want you to know. They'd rather have me know, not share it with you. There's things I can and can't share. And there's a lot of stuff through my experiences being with those best lenders, underwriters out there, putting myself in their positions, understanding how they do things, how things are underwritten correctly, and why they're giving you money and why they're not, and the amount. So you can see that up to 125K borrowed, you see like more or less up to 150K, can even be more than that. 12 to 48 month terms could be extended up to 4 years more or less if it's like a term loan, installment loan, those kinds of things. 36 or so max APR, but again, that's quote unquote, that can be adjusted variable. Within 24 hours of funding, it is possible within 24 to 48, 72 hours. With a lot of the business credit stuff, though, you'd normally see that within 2 to 3 weeks, at most 3 weeks. But it just depends on the situation and depending on other factors and a few things like that. So on the working capital side, in case you were declined, let's say for medical reasons, medical bills, things like that, yeah, there are instances where your credit is too low, and we look at the credit report and we see, okay, well, you have your history looks like this. You're missing payments. You're missing a payment on your mortgage, 2, 3, missed it in the past, over what time? Well, we have to be cautious, whether it's through you're going through a Torro on their end, or we're looking at it from another point of view. And we're saying, okay, can this or can this not work? So it could be on a case-by-case determination. Origination, it could be a 5% origination fee. More or less, that can be adjusted depending on your risk. But averages I see out there on the market are around 1 to 3%. And that can vary again depending on the provider, the investor. That can be varied depending on the credit, backgrounds, all these other things that align with this, revenue, etc. You get monthly maintenance fees charged for ACH fund transfers, is what you'd see more or less. Working capital amount could be somewhere between $25 to $50, adjustable every time you pay your loan, and so forth, case by case basis. Documents asked for after initial pre-qualification review. That would be 3 months or 4 months of bank statements. You could see a lot of the times being asked for business bank statements, if so personal bank statements, depending on the provider and a few things. Tax ID number, social security number, personal and business tax returns, your business lease or leases, if it's applicable. I've had to deal with a lot of people with equipment leases and other formats, and that has been something that stopped them. They've had to show proof of this for them to continue with funding, and a few other things with lease agreements and a lot of other things that are happening. And it just depends on the funding service. So personal and business tax returns, you see a lot of the times if you're getting a lot higher amounts of funding, that would be requested over 100 or 150,000. And that's not necessarily to say that they would look at it in that point, but a lot of the other cases you'd see that to other providers out there. And then also you're looking at it from a personal term / installment loan. So personal loans and things like that, at least 2 years minimum of personal tax returns is a lot of times that's asked for. And if you've been in business, they'll ask for business tax returns. And what you can supply, the more you provide, the better. And it's in good standing even more. Business credit cards and things like that, EIN letter, certification of formation within your state, or in other words, articles of organization within the Secretary of State and in good standing. You have a few other details. Please excuse me if it does get dark as you see the lighting. Sometimes I have my HP lighting screen. I have the light on even to help. Sometimes it goes in and out like that for some reason with the darkness and the lightness. And it's pretty light in here now. But that's what you would expect with a bit of that. A copy of your driver's license for like business credit cards and stuff like that, and more or less documentation there. So you see that. Now we're going to go back into this. But what I recommend, if you're asking what is that alternative out there, I'm going to show you that right now, and then we'll get into some FAQs within Torro, and you have a look at that. But 10,000 same-day funding without credit checks. For the most part, you see no credit requirements. Plus, defaults are considered, and also more funding. So if you've previously defaulted or you have a past default judgment in place, it's better to have that completely taken care of. And be careful of dismissals, discharges. Make sure you completely clear things off, especially when it comes to like credit type of backed programs, credit created credit back. This is more of a revenue backed advance / loan. It's more of an advance, not technically a loan based on your future receivables. And so here, this one is very strong that I've helped out people with. And there's just a note there. I might leave this document down below, but I'll share with you this information more or less pertaining to your personalization and customization as well, with some ballpark numbers, and that's why I do it a little bit different for each person. So you could realistically click there to get started, but self-employed, 1099, gig worker, contractor funding, and more, small businesses, best option. You can use a personal account for business. If you're using a personal account for business, then this is your only and usually your best option until you have a business checking account, a proper one, where you're depositing month-to-month business bank statements. And this is why people get declined or they get very less when they look at it and go, I didn't get anything or I didn't get much. Well, it's because you're using a personal account. And we've learned our lessons, and lenders have learned their lessons, that there can be a lot of losses, there can be a lot of liabilities, a lot of bad problems and implications that the lenders wouldn't even win. People just shut down their account, they open up something else, they go somewhere else, things out of their jurisdiction. You have to be cautious. And so that, and then also on our end and how we're looking at things. So a new, more or less, product for the self-employed. It's been aged for a little bit now, but I'm going to change a little bit there. And I just didn't have time to go back and change that. But things have been changing actually. So it is relatively new because certain amounts, certain services and providers, and certain people they're willing to work with and help out and more. So 1099 gig workers, independent contractors, Uber, Lyft, grocery shopping, etc., trucking, independent contractors, construction, retail, it just, the list goes on and on. Nail shops, nail salon shops, small businesses, and more. And you'll be able to get up to 10,000 without an asterisk and a disclaimer. That's based on a case-by-case basis for the applicants and the borrowers. I'm not saying exactly you'll get that, but that's right. You can use your personal account for business or business too if you have one with lower revenue, and that's at a minimum of 3,000 plus per month. So instead of having 10,000, instead of having a 5,000 minimum maximum at a startup or this and that, you have a 3K minimum, and anything underneath that is such a high risk. It's better just to go the credit back route. And if you don't have the proper credit requirements, you can leverage a credit partner, a friend, a family member, a business partner, somebody who's willing to guarantee, somebody who's willing to apply with their own credit, not exactly co-sign or co-borrower in this circumstance because it's business funding and stuff like that, but to have them with their 680, 700 plus FICO experience to at least do a personal term slash installment loan, personal line of credit if there's 700 on at least two of the three credit bureaus and more, or if they have 700 and above on all three in their credit age and their history and their payment history and their accounts, their revolving accounts, it's aged enough, and they have enough revolving accounts, a major bank card trade line limit of at least 5,000 plus, at least two cards over that, and a little bit more. I'll share with you more of the information and the qualifications and stuff that's not even publicly released. So in the questionnaire, fill that out. And then if you have, and I've gone back to you, you'll know that already, and you've taken the next steps. Or if you have received that, but you just haven't looked through it, could be a reminder. And if I haven't gone back to you right away, it's okay. And I get flooded at times, and you want an expert at the end of the day. You don't want to just go through anybody and everybody, and be careful of that. And then there's a lot of predatory people. And if your misconception of what predatory is and a lot of these things, I will help you better understand. Approvals between 25% to 75% of your monthly revenue is the approval range. Rule of thumb, example, you do 14,000 in monthly revenue. Excuse me, then the advance equals 10,000 advance. Of course, it can be lower depending on the situation. Average pricing, 1.39x your dollar amount. It can be as low as 1.29x and as high as 1.69. But we see a 1.5 at most when the revenue is better. Example, you get 1,000, you pay back 1,390 on average. Example two, you receive 10,000, you pay back 13,900 on a 1.39 rates, buyer rate, and their seller rates and stuff like that. Very simple math. And there's things more on our end that we do to calculate those. And so you don't have to worry about a lot of that until it's something that's presented to you. And I'll give you a pre-underwriting writing way of looking at it before you even go in. So you know kind of more or less what you'd fall into. And based on experience and what I know, I've helped out a lot of people. So I won't go through all these details, but 3 to 6 month terms is what you see. And with lower revenue ranges, that's normally what you'll get. Anything 15,000 and above, you'll still see 3 to 6 months or 4 to 6 months, more or less. And as you grow your reputation and your good standing, that's a great thing to go into. California and New York usually get denied, and that's just across all boards normally. So if that's the case, but you have the revenue for it, we can go through another funder. And there's a quick streamlined app sequence that is great. A lot of people use every single day. We can look at things on our back end and go through things there. And so I'm going to leave more information for that down below. But if not there, get started with the qualification or the questionnaire form. But again, I won't cover all of this. I may leave this document down below or another video, or you'll be shown this in time, if not more or less. And you can get started with your application there and go through a very streamlined process. Just answer a few simple questions. You'll be guided through the right app process and where to go as a result from that. So back to this, you have here, oh, sorry. I don't think you can see the top bar, but I have my Zoom. And so it opens up top navigation menu. And I just wanted to make sure I didn't stop share screen or none of that. So you see here, business working capital, business capital for existing businesses you need with affordable quote unquote payments. So it's just on perspective, like what you get, you have to look at and determine, is the benefit exceeding my repayment? If it doesn't make sense. I had somebody the other day who I found out what industry, what business they are in, what niche, and I understand that one very, very well, as long as other ones that I do, many other ones. And there's really nothing that I haven't seen that will surprise me. If there's a sub niche to something, okay, I understand the operations of businesses and how to properly use the money. I've gone into businesses and I've improved them, improved their yield. They have rotating stuff every week or things that change that they need to account for, a lot of other things. But you have to be cautious because if you are already in the negative, if you already have non-sufficient funds negative days within the last 90 to 120 days, depending on those bank statements, you have to be cautious. If over exceeding 5 on either or non-sufficient funds negative days, you have overdrafts, chargebacks, you start getting into all these other things. You're having bounce checks, you can't make payments to your current providers. It becomes an issue. And then you try to refinance this underneath something else and it won't work. You got to refinance under the existing one until you pay 50% of it off. And there are other options. So if you're struggling with debt, whether it is MCAs or cash advances of any kind, hybrid advances or MCA like debt factoring products like Blue Vine, Headway Capital, or other ones out there, and or you have other type of debt. It's on a case by case basis. That's on the business side, and you're looking to debt restructure instead of consolidate. You don't have enough existing cash flow to consolidate enough for profitability and other factors, credit requirements, and more. Then we could do a debt restructure better than a reverse debt consolidation and better than the consolidation and refinance in many ways. And also, if you're having difficulty with other formats, that would be your best way to go. So the one size doesn't fit all business capital solution. Our syndicate network provides multiple types of funding solutions. They provide fixed terms and payment option solutions and open-ended options. Fixed term funding limits are 575,000, as we went into a little bit earlier. The funding amount you secure is divided over a set period of time, ranging from 3 months to 24 months, and remains at fixed payment until you reach the end or pay it off. There is no penalty for paying more than the agreed amount of paying off early. Open-ended funding offers the more flexibility than the fixed term. You are approved for a maximum amount. The limit of open-ended funding is 125,000. That's where that 125K comes in. You can immediately draw the minimum funds your business requires and draw more as you need it down the road. As you pay down the amount you withdrew, your monthly payment automatically adjusts lower accordingly. Excuse me. No paperwork, no asset, no appraisal, no headache. Our funding programs do not require very limited asset verification, no business appraisal, and little to no paperwork. This means in some cases you can apply, get an approval, sign, and move on to bigger and better things. That's it. No headache. Get started today. And I'll go into I'll go into it right now. See the funding options. You can see a little bit more there on the footer. So you're going to select, and then what does apply to you if you are a startup or you're looking for business capital and a non-startup. See funding options, and then complete your business profile to continue. And then you'll be asked the business you want to start or business you already own, so more or less. And then name of the business, zip code, industry type. You can select from many different options. Let's just put here airports, airport terminals, time in business. We'll say 1 to 2 years, first name. You can auto-populate the field if you have that, but be cautious, especially if you auto-populate. Make sure you have the right information. But more than that is having the right email address. I have my own forms that people will fill out, and I can't tell you how many times they don't provide to me their best email address and the one that I'm going to be emailing them back on. Like they come back to me and go, "Where did you send it to?" Or "I don't think I got it." And when did you send? Like we could have avoided all that. That's extra energy and inefficiency. Does that make sense? And I know you're like, I don't want to get bombarded. That's why I have a separate email, or that's where I just have all the people contact me. And when I look at it, I look at it. If you're serious about this, I don't waste my energy and time. I give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't ever pressure anybody. But the one thing that has become a big pet peeve of mine is people who do waste my energy and time. And you don't have to be at the highest of standards. Like I have those expectations for myself and others, or who I work through and what I do business through, and who I help also on a personal matter, because that makes a lot of sense. And I want to make sure that you are increasing your standards and not just being average, and making sure you're at your best, not only in your business, but you as a person with your family and your friends, what you do in your activities, your exercising routine, all these other things, your habits, your routines, from the second you wake up to the last part of your day. What do you do? What do you think? How do you compartmentalize? So you'll list those details, monthly sales volume. You'll see that in the field, personal credit score. You can put a range there with the last 4 mobile number, and email, my Torro login information, get funding options, and then you can go from there throughout the process. So I'm going to leave that as is there, and then come back to, okay, we covered those. Here are some funding questions and answers. Does your business qualify for funding? We already went through that more or less, so I'm going to leave that. What are the options for startups to obtain funding? Obtain capital for a startup is tricky and limited. They provide creative funding solutions. There we go. We went through a little bit of that earlier. And does my credit rating play a role in the approval process for existing businesses? It just does not, but definitely helps. We provide funding and solutions with personal FICO scores as low as 400 and as high as 850. As a startup financing, there we go. Generally, 600 plus FICOs are required to assist in obtaining startup capital. But the higher you have, the more. That's usually the requirements, like 680, 700 plus for most cases. What are the required documents needed to secure an approval? And then also you can see underneath 700, I've seen that with 600 plus. It's you have less than optimized credit. What are we going to do? One or two little minute options, and then you continue to build from there. It's better to go through credit repair a lot of the times if you don't need the funds as fast as you do need, and you can use for friends and family, or use somebody else as a credit partner to help you guarantee that funding, or help them help you get a credit partner. And there are more little cases and percentages like that. I'm not going to go through all this here. But you see here, what are the requirements, documents needed? You apply online. You can email required docs, and we'll generally have an answer back same day. For startups, there are 2 options. Call in and speak with the specialist and take your application over there. Or 2, you can apply online. And just back up here for securing approval capital, you can call in and speak. Again, like I said earlier, application over the phone. You can apply online. How much can you qualify for? You see that there. We provide working capital, 3 to 500,000 more or less in as little as 24 hours. Approvals are based on industry type, sales, revenue deposits, and into business bank accounts. Startup capital approvals range from 25K to 125K and are determined off the business owner, partner, and investor's personal credit. Doesn't matter how I use it. Capital, most of the time, no. There you see there. How quickly can I get them dispersed? Pretty quickly, and that can be approval within hours and funded the same day. Not always, though. Don't always expect that. See it over here, a little bit there. And I think, let me see if I cover these. So startup stuff here, and then I'm going to go through a few things. See that? Torro, there's a few bits of information there, but coming back here, more than I expected. I was ecstatic to learn I was funded for more than I expected. Ranchero Online Business Enterprises had the most amazing experience, with Torro. I would recommend them to anyone who is in a pinch to fund their small business. Torro, really real people working, people doing excellent work. Communication was excellent, and there was always a sense of personal interest and dedication to our success. That's from Michael there. And then you see a little bit more. So here we're going to type in just making sure all that aligns. Sometimes you see ABAs and things like that. So here, 4.59 out of 5, A plus on the Business Credit Bureau. So here it is. You see a little bit more, and then there's the complaint though, and we'll read through that one here. I received a text with an SLOC agent through Torro. Okay, in regards to funding for my business, we chat a few times explaining the process and the requirements. The requirements was down to download my credit report and send it to her via email. She will get my file together, and an underwriter would reach out to me within 24 hours. I didn't receive a phone call within 24 hours. I reached out to them the next day and still no response. It's all voicemails, out of messages, still no response. Then 72 hours, and I can't get a return text or phone call. They have my credit report from the Identity IQ people that they work with for funding. I need to know who do I talk to so that it is not claimed as identity theft. Hello, we located your file and it looks like you were not eligible for funding at this time. Does your credit or record show that you were contacted yesterday, 10/3 by our agents in regard to a credit repair program? Once you go through the credit repair process, we can help you secure funding for your business. So there are other recommendations there too, but I can help you with a lot of that. And you want to find the most affordable, yes, but two, the most efficient credit repair service. And so I've reviewed quite a few programs, I've looked through things, and I know what's best and what isn't. So if you do need your credit repair, you need to go from one level to the next. And that's what I help a lot of people with. That's why you get the strategic partnership, moving up from advances to bank term loans, SBA loans, equipment loans, understanding how to navigate all of this correctly. I was referred to this company because I wasn't happy with terms of a loan that I received, and somebody told me that they could give me better terms. That's another thing too. I'm not saying that they are right when they said that or not, but a lot of people out there, brokers, and I don't put myself in the same category as they do. Would never probably be friends with the majority. I don't really trust a lot of people in this industry. There's only one or two, a selective amount that I can really, really trust. And they've shown me, they've proven to me and how they've been receptive, but I'll be able to understand numbers and be able to understand other things. Maybe not always to the degree that I have, or to the degree that sometimes they have to review things on number side, but also that is another thing you have to be cautious of. A lot of people out there, they bait and switch, and they'll bring you in and tell you, "Hey, we can give you a line of credit, or we can do you with this product, or we can introduce you to this," and then you find out that that won't work. They maybe thought so. They were probably trying to be ethical about it, but they're not educated enough, or they were, but they just wanted to bring you in because there's competition. I want you to come in, and I don't make money unless you make money. And I'm going to be transparent with you. I don't make money until you get your funding. So I'm not able to feed my family, put food on the table. And I'm very grateful and thankful. And I could charge a packaging fee. I could charge a course fee that I have courses on already. And I can charge on these other upscales as consulting and coaching. I have a lot of things going on, and sometimes I have to wear multiple hats right now. But even then, it's like I'm giving to you a lot of this stuff that other people would charge for. I'm giving it to you for free. And for the most part, that's what you'll see. They would be able to give me personal lines of credit through several different banks with better terms, and they would come in the form of credit of cards, and not to worry because they offer a service to liquidate the cards. After we were on record line, they changed it to personal credit card, which I didn't think anything of because I told them that I wanted a loan, and they told me that these loans would come in the form of cards. So I was under the impression that that's why they what they called until after their service were done and they listed the names of the banks. I asked them if these were credit cards, and they said yes. Taken, I was taken back or taken back. I didn't say anything at first, but the more I thought about it, the more upset I got because I have credit cards already with available balances totaling almost 20,000. So if I wanted to use a credit card, I would have used those. Okay. And not a lot of people have those balances freed up. So, and there's not just about balances being freed up, it's other things. I called and spoke to Josh, who assured me that they did more than apply for credit cards and that I couldn't have done it without them. Mind you, I had an 800 credit score and I also didn't want credit cards. Before they started, stared the record, they started or yeah, started the recorded phone call. They referred to loans in every which way, but credit card, reusable lines of credit, personal lines of credit, etc. Didn't do anything but apply for credit cards in my name. I told them the amount that I was looking for, and they kept pushing me to try and get more because the more credit they're able to get you, the more money they make, 10%. I'm completely dissatisfied and feel bamboozled. So for one, be cautious, one, depending on where you go to, but two, understand the expectations. But then three, when you see a 10%, there's usually a 9.9% when it's more of a done for you when you're getting credit cards. And I help people with that. You can do it a more done for you, or you can do it to do it yourself. I help people with that too. But if you want to do it on your own, for convenience, for energy, for time, what are you doing it for? Where are you trying to elevate to? If you did it on your own, would you get the most? Would you be pulling from the right bureaus? Would you be able to liquidate enough, have the right understanding? Other things, it could be dropped to 7.9% with who I have and who I'm in partnership with, but that's also something that's based upon how much credit you already have established. You have already major banks and all these other things. So it's relatively low. And if you were to able to pay that down up to the maximum flat fee with the credit lines that you were given, great. That's not a big deal, especially if that money, how you're going to be using it, is going to be able to get you a higher ROI and the purpose of those funds makes sense. Like that's not something that's bad about it. And you have to understand what you're leveraging. You're leveraging the experts as well. And so business response, we've spoken with the client. They were sent to us by a broker. The broker, unfortunately, did not explain the program correctly. There's a problem there. It caused confusion on how it was to be funded. Although we did our registration and compliance as usual, the information she was given from the third party was contradictory to our process. We have discounted our fee to make up for the confusion. This is not a reflection of Torro. This was caused by miscommunication from third-party company. This client is seeking a way to remove the compliance after discussing. This company has harassed me and even blackmailed my business. They emailed me and said had immediately responded to their email or they will file a UCC lien. I replied in 40 minutes. I guess that wasn't good enough because they still leaned my payment portals. Also, they set me up a new payment plan and still had the lien. This is shady, can't do both. I called them and asked why. They said, oh, they are sorry they didn't remove the lien. Well, that sorry cost me sales. I've seen that. They are doing these things on purpose out of spite. Also, they asked me for my Cash App and Venmo. They also uh, been double debiting. They give me a different balance each time I ask, and they do not have a portal to check payment history or what went to the balance. They just put whatever numbers they want. I have had MCA loans before, and this is the most shady company I have ever had a loan with. And the response here on 1/24/2023. We have reached out to this client and was resolved via phone call. The client said they would remove the review. Please advise. So there's a little bit more there. So it's a fine line between this is right and this is wrong. So that's something else that you have to take with a grain of salt and understand that not every organization, not every institution out there too is created equal. So keep things in perspective and understand that the good can come with the bad. Not saying that they're bad at all, but what you are not understanding is, are you going to the right source? And if you're not, what do you need to do to find the right one? Sorry, sometimes I can't talk while I'm typing. I'm that cerebral of a person where I like think my words through and when I'm typing. So here you see some of the other reviews. Tyler once again went above and beyond and negotiated some good options for my company. Great company to work with. Everybody at Torro has been very helpful for my business, especially Tristan. Thank you. Tristan Bertoff did an amazing, great job. Communication and got us the funds we needed. Had an amazing experience. So take the good with the bad. Take the things with based on the applier, the borrower, and the understanding and what they're getting themselves into. Do not trust this company is what somebody's saying. They will take your information and sell it to telemarketers. Minutes after I sent my information, my phone email was bombarded with scammer calls and emails. The representative that was supposedly to help was extremely unprofessional and his communication was awful. Avoid Torro at all costs. Neil, we do not have any telemarketers. We have funding specialists that are calling to complete your funding application. Where the information is not complete, we are happy to remove you from being considered for funding. Can you please email us at this email that they provided them so that we can locate your profile and get it updated? Here you have a little bit more. Business gone bad and I accidentally input my info about funding. And since then, I have received just a bumper of emails, calls, texts from someone named that person. I've called, emailed, and texted to be removed with this type of marketing and lack of attention to derive. I never do business here. Knowledgeable, somewhat hopeful, but communication was stopped and a little bit more there. And there's a reply from Turo. Thank you for leaving a review. We would like to get in touch and help you with what's needed. Just a little bit more. So just understand what you're getting yourself involved with. If you don't know, work with a dedicated broker, pre-underwriter, underwriter, and yours truly, who understands not only how to look and assess a file, looks at the documents, understands your situation, your personal and business reasons, your uses of funds, though. That's the thing that not a lot of people understand. A lot of people can go out there and share with you, hey, here's go get a personal line of credit for a real estate investment, and then use your home equity line of credit at this percent. And it's like, okay, cool. Where did you hear that? Do you have experience on it? One or two, have you helped somebody with this in the past and it's worked out well? Was it not favorable? Was it? So there's a lot of things in between that you have to understand and what's most appropriate to go after. But I think that concludes the video. Just know I'm going to write right here. Alternatives are out there. And if you're trying to do credit card stacking or any type of creative credit back funding and you need the right approach, I'll show you multiple options, whether it is through Torro or not. And what I would believe to be others that are out there that could be and usually are a lot better in many cases for the borrower. And what I've seen as a reputation built, strategic partnership and roadmap, the connections, leveraging my connections and my network, my Rolodex, that ultimately is it because I have those not only business relationships, but the personal relationships with those providers and the team that's there. We're going to do things on the back end that not a lot of people can do. And beating most offers that are out there usually is what we do. There have been a lot of people out there who are like, well, I have multiple things and I have this. I'll show you why this is as effective as it is. And there are other programs out there that are even beyond 10,000 in funding, beyond 120,000, beyond 500,000, whether you're going through credit, cash flow, collateral backed. But there you go. So credit stacking, or you can do revenue backed. We can do creative credit backed, collateral, equity, liquidity can factor into some of these subsets. And there are many other things. You're looking for real estate purchases or refinances, debt consolidation, debt restructures, which is one of my absolute favorites, and it's working on a lot of people right now for a lot of reasons. And there's many more. I just listed just a handful of them, but look down below in the description for the questionnaire. This is what it'll look like. Let me have it ready for you. And if you want to work with an expert, I don't waste my energy and time on people. There's only so much you can do in a day, and there's only so much in life. And I want to be able to make sure that this is as efficient and I have my energy and time and everything. So it could look like this. And there's some of the results that I've generated for people. There's plenty more, but I just put a handful. You can see more, learn more about myself, more or less there. And then you select from one of the two options. You get a free 6-step pre-pool lending checklist. And I'm going to say non-startup. You go through here, read the details here first. It's most important. Real business loan broker and funding expert as well as pre-underwriter, underwriter. Please be responsive. There's a few things. So you can literally get this done in less than a minute. It may look lengthy, but you can give me some rough estimates. Just try to be as accurate. I am not a creditor, so please state your credit score, at least a range. The credit score would be best, FICO, Experian. Then I may ask for more questions. It may be adjusted more or less, but I don't use this information against you. This is not an application. This is before we go into it. You should know without a shadow of a doubt what you're getting into without just going applying it and applying everywhere and anywhere. Getting bombarded, email, text messages. Oh my goodness. I hate that. And you don't want to put yourself or continue to put yourself in that situation and you're just so desperate that you're just doing whatever. Well, Michael shared with me something and I think I can go find something else. That's not what that is not the answer to this. That's being very baby-like. And a lot of people, final last destination they really need to turn to, or it's the first destination, and it's the only one. And so here are the services. There are many more. The process of how it works, there might be a video here, submit it. Thank you page video might be there, or just some more information on the thank you page and then how to get started and some extra resources perhaps in the meantime, or what to download. And there's a little bit more. So all of that is there. Be please as transparent and as honest as you can, as I am with you and as I have been with many people. Quickly, let me look through a lot of this. Yes, I've covered for it the most part. Startup capital, how Torro works. Here you can see that. Buy online, tell us about your business. Quick write makes it fast. Potentially funding systems to speed up the process. Syndicated investors provide the capital your business needs. And success stories that we more or less look through some reviews, but you see that here on the site. Mia's Boutique, Sanderson and Sons Farming, Woody's TV sales and service, read reviews of customers they have helped. You see that there. And there's a little bit more there what we went through earlier. But the alternatives are there and more ones that I would recommend a lot too as well. So that's everything from me. Down below in the description is all information. If you found value from this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others who you feel will find value from it. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member. But at the end of the day, you know that they received the help they need. And if you have anybody who does need funding, you know somebody immediately, feel free to partner with me. I'm very transparent. I'm very reliable. I'm somebody who will give you your best interest at heart. I have a lot of people like today and previous days and before that and more after who want to work with me. And you can be somebody who can't get funding or can. You're like, I want to refer somebody to you and I'll take care of it. Don't worry about that. You know my personality. You know I'm very truthful. I'm very loyal. And so they're going to get the absolute best care and the best amount possible, whether it's to start with or it's to move into and then to see other options and to combo fund or to look at other ways of improving their business in many other ways and increasing their own clientele. There are many things that are going to be key leverage points for them. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I will be coming out with. And yes, it's for the most part subject to change sometimes, the material, the qualifications, but normally that's how it is. And that's where I will leave it at. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Take care.